Everyone back to the Frequency of Fatherhood broadcast. Today we're gonna have a special guest, Austin from Mandatory Fun Day. Let me get him on here and we'll jump right to it. What's up,
Going.
Austin? Screaming, it'll be my son for sure. All right, just to get this rolling, we'll do a couple introductions and then we'll just jump right into it. Today we'll talk fatherhood, military, and entrepreneurship. Since you've balling all three of these things up in one, and see how you're balancing that together.
Sure.
All right, so everyone, my name is Jack Knofel. I'm a retired Army officer. I'm the author of a book called Fatherhood, The Art of Love and Leadership. I'm a co-founder of the Frequency of Fatherhood community. And most importantly, I'm a husband and a father. That's just a little bit about me. Austin, I'll pass it over to you for your intro.
Yeah, so I've been in the Army for just coming up on 12 years now. I'm on leave currently, so for everybody wondering why I'm not at work right now, that's why. I'm a father of four. I have four daughters. I've been married for well over 12 years now. So yeah, that's me.
Four daughters. That sounds like one of my other buddies who I went green to gold with. He
Yeah.
had four daughters. He's like, dude, we tried on the fourth one for a boy, and we got a girl, and he's just surrounded. His dogs are two girls, his wife. So he's loving it. All right. You've been in the military for a hot minute now, right?
Yeah.
You were
Long enough.
you were a staff sergeant before you went. Did you do green to gold or OCS?
I did OCS.
All right. Can we talk a little bit about that before we jump into fatherhood? The real topic here. OCS. So my best friend did it, and he's a JAG officer. I did green to gold. So for green to gold, you get like all this just development over and over development on leadership, right? That's all they just harness that nonstop leadership. OCS, how did you feel going in as a staff sergeant and like, what was it, 3 months later and you pop out as a butter bar?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I learned a lot, don't get me wrong. I do think that the ROTC and Green to Gold guys and, especially the Academy guys, they probably get a little bit more as far as development, turning them into officers. I think a lot of the officers that you see that are prior enlisted that can't really, let it go are the ones that come from OCS. Because those years that you spend in a college, right, I think it allows you to kind of let some of that go. That's not something that's been a lot of a struggle for me. I didn't like a lot of the different things about being an NCO. I did them, but I think I mesh much better with I guess the commission side,
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same way. I was an E5 infantryman back then, and when I switched over, well, you are right. I had that 2-year break, so it gave me this window of just like letting go of the enlisted side.
Right.
And to be honest, when I commissioned, it was all of a sudden I was an officer and only officer side, and it's almost like I forgot the enlisted people I even knew. It was so unusual because enlisted couldn't hang out with me anymore, and so I had to change my mentality. It was really a tough thing actually, because I went from having all these friends when I was in Germany to now I'm in Hawaii and I can only be friends with officers, which was very strange, Anyways, the real reason we're here is fatherhood. I run a community called the Frequency of Fatherhood. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out, and this kind of just fell into my lap. And it's very similar to us being in the military, being officers or senior enlisted, where you're really mentoring just people to become better, right? Uplift themselves. So you have four daughters. You're full-time military officer, which, are you MI, military intelligence? Which, anyone who doesn't know MI, they work harder and longer hours than all of us. Especially if there's any briefs. Obviously, Austin doesn't, since he's on leave for indefinitely. But ITBs and all these other briefs that they give suck for military intelligence, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, how do you balance military, fatherhood and your entrepreneur journey, because you've blown up. I remember when you came out, I just pinned captain and you came out and someone sent me your stuff and I'm like, dude, this dude's, you're covering the things that we all knew were funny in the Army, but we didn't have a way to verbalize it like in video form like you've been doing. So how do you balance all three of those aspects in your life?
Oh, it's really hard. You know, when I'm not on leave, it's pretty much just go until like 1700, and then at 1700 I really try and shut everything off and just be present with the family. Thankfully, my three oldest are in school, right? So they're not even there during lunch. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll try and film in between, like, you know, the end of PT and going back to work. And then I'll try and post at lunch. And that's kind of been my routine. I'm going to have to get back to that. Honestly, I think it was going better when I was at work because I had like such rigid structure. And then you leave me to my own devices on leave and everything just goes to hell. But yeah, it's been tough balancing it. You know, I've done my best. I think I'm doing a reasonably good job, and the growth on social media has continued. You know, I think I started the Instagram page in like, gosh, it might have been early this year, but it would have been no earlier than late last year. And so it's been, I mean, the growth has been explosive, you know, so, you know, clearly I'm doing something right. Hopefully that doesn't make me sound like an arrogant jerk, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, and I definitely don't think arrogance is reality. You know what I mean? People always get those confused what reality is.
Right.
Now, the big part, fatherhood. So you're busy nonstop. Where do you make the time for your daughters?
Yeah, so we have them in cheer now, so, you know, I'm attending practices. Really, I try and be intentional multiple times a day, right? Especially like when I get home from work and then also before bed. I try and make sure I'm intentionally interacting with them because especially now with content creation, it's not another full-time job, but it takes a decent amount of time. And honestly, you can put as much time into it as you want. You know, you could spend 10 hours a day doing content creation. I've kind of necked it down. And I have to pull back on certain things, right? Like I probably could be doing better with the content creation stuff, but it would be at the cost of my family, you know? And so choosing which things to prioritize has been paramount. Right. And, you know, like I love doing jujitsu as well. And, you know, I'm probably never, at least while my kids are young, I'm not going to be able to do it more than once a week. You know what I mean? I would love to go 3, 4, 5 times a week, but it's just not feasible for me because I have to make those conscious decisions.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask is like, where do you cut the military entrepreneur to give that intentional time and be conscious and present with your daughters, right? Because that's super important. And then that's what we talk about a lot in our fatherhood community is that you're seeing fathers that can't figure out that work-life balance.
Yeah.
Which, you know, the Army loves to talk about, but that's only for enlisted, not for officers.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny being an MI officer, especially like in other not an MI unit, because it's like you have nothing to do for a large portion of the time, and then then you're about to go to a field problem, and then it's late nights every day for, you know, weeks, and it's very much high peaks and low valleys, you know, and so just part of what I focus on is being intentional and being present when you have those low valleys, you know what I mean? Because then when the high peaks come and things ramp up and you just don't have the time, then you don't have the same level of like guilt and regrets. Like, ah, crap, I squandered the time I had.
Yeah. No, I mean, that really, before I was talking to my partner, the co-creator, he's also a military, retired veteran from the Navy, which don't worry, I make fun of him enough for us. So don't worry about that. And, but we were talking about you and how it's just, you have to be so good at your time management.
Yeah.
And so many fathers just aren't, you know, they could have 1 or 2 kids, you have 4, and they're still just trying to figure out, like, how can I even build a relationship with my kids?
Right.
And we're hearing this a lot where it's like a lot of fathers just, they're not building a relationship. They think it's just automatic because I'm their father. Automatically, I have a relationship with my kids, and that's not really the case, is it? It's like you have to work on it. You have to be present. You have to be intentional with your time. So kudos on you, man, because that's very tough. And I like that you're using work time though to make your content. That's
well, I'm really careful about, like, I never do anything during the duty day, right? Because you know you get hemmed up for that, and it's just not. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. But yeah, in between, you know, breakfast, lunch, times like that, and then I really try hard to get the content out by the end of lunch, because if I don't, then it's like I'm not pushing it until 1800, and you know that's just not. And I don't want to be doing that after work, you know.
And how's your chain of command treat you?
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're very supportive.
Yeah, because I was wondering that, because you hear a lot of people. You must have been in the same time when Army What the Fuck moments came out, and people are like, "Oh, who's that account? They need to get busted. They need to get hemmed up." And everyone's like, "Why?" They're actually just speaking the truth, you know. And as long as you put that little asterisk of "I'm not part of DOD," or I know you have it on yours too. I've seen it there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're really supportive, and honestly, like I think a lot of the issues that we're seeing, you know, with recruiting and stuff like that. Not to get off topic, but I think a lot of it is because we have this like irrational fear of social media, and we have for like 20 years, you know. I'm sure when MySpace came out, the military was like telling people, you know, don't be on MySpace. You know, for those of you that don't know what MySpace is, I'm showing my age a little bit. But yeah, they've been great. And the military in general, it seems to be making a transition. It wants to be a little bit heavier on social media, which is where we need to be.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Someone just said, but can he run fast? And I know you just made a reel that you can't run fast, so I'm fast. That for you.
Yeah, no, not fast. I mean, gosh, what was my last 2 miles? I think my last 2 mile time was like 17 minutes or something. It was not fast.
You're definitely on mine, that's for sure. People keep saying bring back a MySpace. MySpace was legit, I'm not gonna lie. I loved it.
Yeah, MySpace was great.
I'm 42. MySpace made more sense than all of them still.
100%.
But what I wanted to say, now that I'm reading the comments, they're all funny in here. They're coming at you. And what I wanted to say was I went through a course of social media in the military for military leaders. And I remember they had two generals. I can't remember who they were. General Casey and General Schoonmaker. And these two guys were talking. They're both generals years ago, right? And they're like 80 years old. They're funny as can be. But they both were totally different than the generals that were actually there, the active duty ones. They're just like, you guys need to be utilizing your social media to make positive influence. Every single tool that's out there, you guys can use as a positive influence tool. So if you're not using it, all you're doing is taking away from yourself and your own influence. Now, that being said, when I became an officer, of course, every platoon, I ended up being a platoon leader because I was a meadow. And I was back in Hawaii in Schofield. And they made me a meadow for 36 months. The longest PL time of anyone. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I did 3 JRTC rotations and 2 pathways in 3 years. It was stupid. And so I had a Facebook group. I still run our Facebook group for that platoon. And we still talk all the time.
That's so funny.
And so it's like we built a family. And it's not easy. A lot of people, I got a lot of criticism when I did that. Because I would tell them the same story that I heard from the generals. I'm like, guys, they were saying this. This is what old school critical thinkers were saying. It's like, use all the tools you have available. And a lot of times we would have, like, if someone couldn't make it in, they would put it on the chat. Hey, everyone, this is what's happening. I'm in this situation. So, like, we can all track too. And so I really do think social media is a tool for young leaders to use. Yeah. If you're on social media. I'm not saying, like, if you don't use social media, go out there and get it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if you do use it and you like it, it's a chance to really bond with your soldiers, know them more. And to be honest, people are like, I don't want to be friends with them until I'm done with my platoon time or my leadership time with them. The thing is you're going to find out who the hell they are when you're friends with them, because you're going to see some things that they post that you're just going to be like, for you and I, it's different because you commissioned later like I did. I commissioned at 34.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, it was just kid stuff. I was watching 19, 20, 22-year-olds posting shit that I did when I was that age, but still they're fine, right?
Right.
It wasn't illegal, but then there's some guys who take that like, I need to go report them.
Right.
You know, so it's a weird balance. What would you recommend, since you're the active duty one and I'm not now? So would you recommend doing that? Do you do that? And would you see yourself doing that maybe as a commander? Or is there a level that you'd start that at?
Gosh, I don't know that I can answer that question anymore, just because of how large I am, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I have one personal social media account at this point, and the rest of my presence online is like mandatory fun day. And so if people add me on my personal, I don't care. You know, it doesn't bother me. I will literally never see anything that they comment on my profile, message my profile, because I'm never on it anymore. Because like when I get done with social media for the day, I just want to throw up, and I'm not going on like my normal, like my personal stuff. But yeah, really, our lack of presence, and I want to touch on something you said earlier first, where you said if you're not interested in being on social media, don't go out and do it. Because it's such a military answer to be like, we don't have enough presence on social media, so everybody get on social media, right? But that's not what we need. We need people that are creating content, and we need people that are doing things that are attractive and enticing to people, right? We don't need every, like Tom, Dick, and Henry on social media just posting something, right? Especially if it's not getting seen by anybody. And we all started somewhere on social media, right? So I'm not saying if you're posting stuff and nobody's seeing it, I'm not saying stop. But if that's not like, if you don't feel like it's kind of your calling or something that, I don't know, it's something that where you're adding value, then you don't need to do it, right? But our lack of presence on social media, I think, has left the door open for a lot of negativity. And it's portrayed the military in a really negative light that I don't feel like is always fair. And you know, we know our adversaries use social media to you know, undermine us, right? We know that's happening. You can look that up on Google. And so I think it's allowed that to happen. The loudest voices on social media are often negative voices, you know, and so we need positivity. We need like positive influence, all that stuff. And so, yeah, I would say if you're a leader and you're not on social media, I think you should be, even if it's just like a token Facebook profile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to have some level of presence. Not everybody has to be a content creator. That's fine. But to those of you that are interested in content creation, I think it's, you know, definitely advantageous for the military. It's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me a lot about the military. Gosh, I mean, some of the lessons I've learned have been shocking.
Yeah. And have you got to meet a lot of famous higher ranks that a lot of us know?
Oh gosh, I mean, I just went on Tim Kennedy's podcast.
I saw that.
So he was, I mean, that was so much fun. He's such a great guy. You know, they say don't meet your heroes. And it was kind of surreal, you know, because it would be like if you played guitar growing up and then all of a sudden you're playing next to Metallica. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like, right? I've followed Tim Kennedy since I joined the military, right? I remember I saw some of his fights back when he was in the UFC, which at this point was quite a while ago. You know, I've watched his content. And so then to be part of his content was amazing, right? That was a really, really amazing moment. And what you see is what you get with him. You know, they say, like I said, they say don't meet your heroes, but I was very happy. Like, I was just giddy. He's such a great dude. But yeah, so I've gotten to interact with a lot of senior officers, senior NCOs. Probably nobody that anybody knows like offhand, right? Not really a ton of famous people. But my network has expanded dramatically since I started doing this.
No, I would imagine. I mean, I can only imagine people. Wait, have you done your PL time already? It's done, right?
I'm still in the middle of it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What's your? Before I move forward, what's your soldiers think of you? They have to love you. That's what I would think.
I think they're all pretty used to me at this point. You know, like nobody in my it's funny. In my unit, I'm just like there. You know what I mean? I'm just another guy. But then like other people meet me and they'll like freak out. You know what I mean? It's always funny because like if it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and I go through the gate, the gate guards are like all freaking out, and I'm like all tired because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And they're like all hyped up because they've been up all night, and then they're excited to see me. So, and so it's been fun. But yeah, I mean, I think my soldiers like me. I hope they do.
Dude, that's the funniest crap. I mean, I can only imagine that. Do people expect you to like make a joke or something, or make them laugh or something?
Oh no, most people are really nice.
Okay.
And I feel kind of bad 'cause sometimes, I mean, I'm just burnt out a lot of the time, and so like I try and be like upbeat and positive for everybody. Hopefully it comes across that way, but sometimes I'm just tired, and so I've started just wearing a ball cap and sunglasses around most places.
Dude, that's ridiculous. I remember, you know, what was it? Sad Lieutenant. Do you remember that page?
I don't think I know that one.
I think it was called Sad Lieutenant or something like that. And they were really good. They were blowing up quick. They went up to 30,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
They were growing big time. They were 2 MI officers also.
Oh,
or no,
really?
one was MI, one was a chief.
Nice.
I just don't know what he was the chief of. And they would always tag me. So one of them knew me for sure. And that was the funny part, is like, you actually put your face out there where people could see you.
Yeah.
And a lot of these meme pages, you don't know who the hell they are.
Right.
And I always thought it was funny. I'm like, who the hell's running that? It's one of my buddies who's probably next door to me just laughing at me like, oh, I'm going to get Jack on this one. He didn't want to be a clown. But no, that's awesome that all those accolades are coming your way. I mean, you definitely deserve it. You've been putting in some really good content. And, you know, until I retired and I started doing content, I didn't really respect it as much. But now I'm like, holy shit, people who just put out the content. You don't realize how much work it really is.
Even if you keep it low effort, which I try to, you know, I try and keep it really low effort because I just don't have the time or the energy right now to make it super high effort. Even when you try and keep it low effort, it is still really hard. I mean, it is still really hard. And so that's not, I mean, I'm not trying to have a pity party here. You know, I'm choosing to do it, and I could choose to stop doing it, you know. But yeah, it's tough, you know, content creation is tough.
Yeah. So we're going forward, or we want to say going forward, where do you put your effort the most? Like in your head, are you looking at your soldiers? Because that's crazy. Now that I know you're a lieutenant, this makes it even wilder that you're putting out this much content. I don't know how the hell you're doing it. And I love that you are. And then 4 daughters, which is unbelievable. I mean, I want to be on your level. I want 4 kids. I have 1. And 4, hey, I wait till 40 to have the first one. I'll bust out 3 more in my 40s. But how do you prioritize what's going to happen, or is it kind of wherever you're at, that's just going to take priority in your mind, and don't give headway to something else at the moment?
So do you mean like, how do I try and prioritize throughout the day, or what do you mean?
Overall, like, are you going to put your family first, your daughters first? You have to have a relationship with your wife, and then your soldiers. Some shit could go down on the weekends where you have to take care of them.
Right, yeah.
Content.
Yeah, you know,
so it's like you're just juggling so much.
Yeah, I always put, so whenever, like, I try and section it off, right? So when I'm doing content creation, right, like for that hour a day or whatever I end up doing it, or a couple hours a day, that's the focus, right? But then at some point I turn it off, right? It gets, like, this is it. We're done with content for the day. And then the focus is family. Obviously, when I'm at work, the focus is the unit and my soldiers. And so that's worked well for me so far. As far as, like, priorities in my life, first is my family, and it always will be. You know, if my wife could ask me to get out of the Army at 19 years and 364 days, and I would leave the Army. I do not care. And then after that comes the Army. Right, and then after the Army comes content creation, because I still, you know, despite being a large content creator now, you know, some people call it influencer or whatever. I don't really like that term, but you know, I still have an obligation, right? The American citizen is paying my paycheck, right, and they deserve for me to give them good work and not just be posting funny videos on the internet all day, you know?
Yeah, no.
So. Family, Army, and then content creation.
Dude, that's a perfect rundown. That's what I was hoping you would say, because any other way would be very strange. But
right, you
know, people get to that as you call it, influencer level, which could be 10,000 up. I don't know what that is really, but you see they put that content first, and they're like this person that is just not real in real life. Because I've met a bunch of them now that I got to work with, and they were just in real life just not the same person. It was like they're trying to be this image online, and it's like you're just not holding up with that. At least you're being real and present with whatever you're doing, because that's, I think, the most important is balancing yourself.
Yeah, my sense of humor in the content is just my normal, like, it's who I am. You know, during these kind of interview type things, I tone it down, obviously. I try and restrain myself a little bit because I'm so high energy most of the time. But yeah, like at work, I just say random stuff. I'm making people laugh. I'm like, you know, bouncing around. And it makes it easy because then people meet me and it's like, I'm the same, you know, or at least I feel like I am. Because yeah, if you play an online persona, it would be tough. And then like, I like it too, because I'm a professional, right? I'm a professional person, and I you know, I do business professionally, but I'm also silly. And so like today I went and did errands, and I was in like American flag short shorts and Crocs, you know what I mean? And like I can do that because I'm not portraying anything other than that on social media. So I don't feel like I have to play a character. I just get to be myself.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I mean, I wear chubbies everywhere, so you better like some thighs, because I'm coming with thighs out.
Yeah.
All right, before we go, I have one question, and this could be answered any which way you want. Can you give some advice for fathers out there? What has benefited you the most, and something that's successful for you as a father that they can use as maybe a little tool or something that they can maybe walk away with and start using today?
Yeah, the answer is going to be a little bit long. Is that okay?
Absolutely, dude. I have all the time in the world.
Yeah, therapy. You need to go to therapy. You need to listen to the people in your life that you care about and that you trust. And if they tell you there's a problem, you need to just address it. You know, if somebody tells you have a problem with alcohol, you need to just stop drinking alcohol, period. End of story. Don't be like, ugh, like just stop drinking alcohol, because it's not good for you anyway. You know, if you have a problem consuming like adult entertainment media, I call it, on these platforms, so we don't get banned, right? You need to cut that out. And you need to focus on the things that have long-term benefit, which is your relationships, first and foremost, with your spouse and your children, and then your career. And it needs to be in that order. Because one day you're not going to work anymore, right? And I know people who chose their career over their family, and it is very sad. It is very sad to see. But yeah, focus on the things that are good, and then focus on positive self-care. I think that as men, we need to have two different maybe hobbies, so to speak. And this is going to sound kind of funny, but I think one needs to be creative and restorative and, you know, artistic, like art, you know, or like poetry or painting or something. And then one needs to be destructive, right? Maybe that's guns. Maybe it's jujitsu. Maybe it's boxing, right? Something that kind of scratches that masculine itch, right? I am not an aggressive, competitive person. And jiu-jitsu forces me to be aggressive and competitive, which is a weakness of mine, right? It helps me. I'm more of a creative, right? Obviously, right? I'm a content creator. And so jiu-jitsu kind of helps balance me in that way. And that's been incredibly beneficial for me. But therapy, go to therapy.
All right, let me get this rundown here. Guys, I'm agreeing 100% with actually Austin on this one. We talk fatherhood a lot. I'm telling you, I talk probably 5 to 7 times a week on lives, Clubhouse, everything. I talk a lot about fatherhood. You'd think I have 10 kids. I have 1. But, all right, so no adult entertainment. Fathers out there that you are listening, 100% stop watching it. It's very bad. It's just it's so negative for everything about your life. And it's not reality. Yeah. So we need to get back to reality. No negative vices. All right. That depends on if you are very attached to those vices, like alcohol. In moderation.
If you don't have a healthy relationship with it.
Yes, exactly. Right there, guys. Listen up to that, because this is free chicken. Put your family over your career. 100%. This is a no-brainer. It's always been a no-brainer for me. It seems like for you also, Austin. So guys, how many have we seen these majors? I always pick on majors because the 04 is the worst of it all.
Iron Major, man.
Iron Major. They put the unit over them, their entire families. I've watched it so many times, and I feel bad for them. Like, I watch them just working their asses off, and it's like, man, you got it wrong. You got it wrong on this one.
Right.
And so, yeah, definitely, guys, put your family first. Figure out a routine in your life where your family is the center first, all right? And then Austin hit us with some focus on the positive self-care. But what you touched on is something that we talk about a lot. We just did an entire podcast on this. The creative and masculine is what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. How we address it is your feminine and your masculine energies, and why it's so important to have those balance. Yep. Why you need to be masculine at sometimes, and you need to be creative. And when you work on those, it doesn't mean when you're feminine, you're going all in that way, because that's also bad. You need to be balanced in life. And it's kind of with everything we're talking about here, is have some balance and moderation. All right, guys. Austin, I don't have anything else. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not at all. And the last thing I want to say, and I should have said it when I was talking about this, what I said earlier was not an attack on anybody. I've struggled with my own issues, guys. This is not coming from a place of judgment. I'm just hoping that other people don't have to learn the lessons I learned in the way that I learned them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why we're doing these, right? This is exactly why we're doing these. As we get older, we're like, you come to this term where it's just like, man, I wish I could give these lessons to other people. And so you don't need to go through it. You just learn through our stories. And that's why storytelling is so important in life. And it's something that we lost, you know? So storytelling is super important. I love that. So that's kind of what you're doing. You're just storytelling, and you're crushing it. All right. That's about all I got. Everyone, I'm Jack Knofel again. We are running a course, and it's a 5-day free course. It's going to be great free chicken for everybody. All right? Free chicken's going everywhere. Come get some. Frequency of Fatherhood. Go follow Mandatory Fun Day. I mean, everyone's already following you anyways. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. And Austin, I appreciate you, man. Godspeed with everything.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Take care. Peace.
Bye.